Welcome to the Offshore Club's most riveting and revealing offshore lifestyle podcast, Open Mike, with Mike Cobb. For more than 20 years, Mike has worked and lived in Caribbean countries from north to south and the Atlantic to the Pacific. Nobody knows it better. And now, here is your offshore ambassador at large, Mike Cobb.
What do you want?
All right. Hi, it's Carib Carter Clews, and welcome to the Mike Cobb's Offshore Investment Report with the man himself, Mike Cobb. Mike, welcome to your own show.
Hey, Carter, always good to be here. Thanks for hosting it. Thanks for taking good care of me. I appreciate the camaraderie and the spirit of fun that we have together. Yeah,
it's great. It's great. I love it. And really, I'm the question man. You're the answer man. So we're like frick and frack. It's perfect. It's perfect. It is. And one of the things, I get a lot of questions. Obviously, I get hundreds of emails from Offshore Club members.
Yep.
And they a lot of them, when I answer all of them, but sometimes I have to tell them, look, I got to do a little more exploration here before I can get an answer. And one of the questions they ask is when they to make their purchase offshore. Okay. We talk to people about making the move offshore, not just visiting, making the move. And I tell them, and you and I have discussed this, there are three kinds of homes you're going to find in Central and South America, three kinds of communities. Quaint communities. That's a community that's really where the Hondurans live. You're moving in with the native I say Hondurans because that's where my homes are. You're moving in with the Central Americans, Latin Americans themselves. I have a home in El Colón in Honduras, which is, I'm the only gringo there. Okay. Yeah. And some people say, well, Carter, you have an advantage because your wife is Latina. And I've told several of them, I'm not sure whether a lot of people consider that an advantage or not. The other day, my Latino wife said to me, "You'll get a kick out of this because you lived in 14 years in Nicaragua, so Latino women can be pretty forceful." And the other day,
in charge,
charge. That's a nice way to put it. The other day, she's telling me what I'm supposed to wear that day, and I said, don't you think I should make my own decision about this? She said, Amor, your mother died, and now you have a new mother. So, well, there you go. So, and there you go. So the girl 4 decades younger than me is my new mother. So there we go. But you have the quaint communities. Then you have what I call the cozy communities. Those are the smaller communities, which are usually, mostly fellow Westerners, whether they're Americans, Canadians, sometimes Europeans, in small communities like my home at La Ceiba Beach Club, gated, guarded community, very nice. Then you have the creme de la creme, where you can buy homes in a Mike Cobb community, okay? A Mike Cobb community. A Mike Cobb community like Grand Pacifica, Grand Bayman, these are totally developed communities. When people say to me, I want all the amenities, I tell them, you don't want a cozy community because then you're going to buy your fruit from an outside fruit vendor. You don't want a cozy community because that's a little too small. You want a Mike Cobb community because there you have everything provided for you.
Carter. Yeah, Carter, I actually think that we have some pretty good stuff that fits in that middle category too.
Oh, good.
You're certainly the quaint, the what I would call the local home, local product where you're the one gringo in the neighborhood.
Right.
And for a lot of people that works. I mean, I think it probably does help that you have a Latina wife, of course, because language might be an issue. If you speak Spanish or Portuguese, if you're in Brazil, whatever, or if you speak the language, getting into a quaint community, getting in with the locals is pretty, it's pretty easy, right?
Yeah.
If you don't speak the language or you're not, married to or partnered with somebody who does, I think that it becomes challenging. It doesn't mean it's impossible, but if you want to have friends and conversations, you're probably going to have to leave the neighborhood to have them unless you speak the language, right?
Right.
But I think one of the things that we've always talked about is community, and community is it's not about there's a great quote from Del Webb actually. Concrete, steel, and lumber make the buildings. People make the community.
Beautiful.
And so while you might have a neighborhood, which is a bunch of homes, community is something very different. And so if you don't speak the language, I think having true community will be a big challenge in a, as you call it, a quaint neighborhood. The other thing that I find that sometimes people don't always think about, or what I'm going to call just the basic creature comforts, is the home plumbed with hot water, right?
Well, sure.
Many times in a lot of these quaint communities, I mean, they're not plumbed for hot water. I mean, many homes throughout Latin America have no hot water. And so if you're okay with that, great. If you're not okay, I mean, you can buy water heaters and run wires and, run pipes. I mean, you can retrofit, right?
I got to tell you, the idea of taking a cold shower, which you're right, in some of the quaint communities, now cozy communities a step up, and
I'm going to talk about that because I think that is the step up where you start to get maybe the best of both worlds, right?
Tell them about when I bought my first home in Honduras, and it had cold water, and I said, I need hot water. It was shocking because they gave me a nozzle you put on your shower. Now you'll know all about this.
Widowmaker, the Widowmaker.
Very well named, folks. Folks, brace yourself. You screw it onto your shower and you plug it into an inlet on the wall next to you, and it works. It makes the water warm or hot as hell, but the whole time you're thinking, I hope I survive this shower.
Right. It's sort of like taking a hairdryer in the bathtub with you. It kind of works, but you don't want to make a mistake, of course. And the other thing about that is you talk about plugging one of these, heating elements is what it is. It's it's an inline heating element for the water coming out of the faucet into the shower head, getting heated up there. A lot of the homes, again, in Latin America, are traditionally built with 30, maybe 40, 50 amp service. And, a traditional home in the United States today, 200 amp is code, right? So, I mean, we're talking about, 200 amp service in the US, 30 amp service. And so a lot of times you plug in that Widowmaker and you turn it on and you blow one of the, the fuses or one of the switches, right? So, I mean, those are the kinds of things that, again, we don't necessarily know to check when we're buying property overseas, because like 200 amp service is standard. Hot water is standard in the US, right? So again, those are the kinds of things that, from a creature comfort standpoint, but then also from the community standpoint, that generally move people either to what you like to call the cozy community, or even a really full, maybe expat type of property. The thing that
a Mike Cobb community. Look, the Mike Cobb communities are, Grand Pacific, Grand Bayman, your other residential resorts, they are the finest. Okay, and that's why Mike Cobb communities.
Yeah, Mike Cobb community. But understand, Carter. I mean, 24% of our property owners, 1/4 of our property owners at Grand Pacifica are Nicaraguan, and I mean, so it's not like this expat community, I mean, it's a very, very broad community of many different. I mean, we have Canadians, we have US, we obviously have a big group of Nicaraguans there. We've got Aussies and Brits and Europeans, a lot of folks from South America as well. So you got this really integrated community of many different backgrounds and nations. And in Belize, at our Bayman Gardens, I think that well over half of the people who live there full time, some are owners and some are renters, because we have a lot of people put their property in long-term rental if they're not going to be there, if it's a vacation property. I think over half the people who live at the gardens are Belizean. So if you live in the Mike Cobb community in Belize, half your neighbors are Belizean, right? Yeah. But you're going to have hot water. You're going to have great electrical service. You're going to have high-speed internet. You're going to have all the creature comforts
all the amenities,
and not that expensive. I mean, Carter, a home on Ambergris Caye, a Caribbean island, right? Ambergris Caye, Belize, a Caribbean island, for $125,000.
That's incredible. That is that home would cost you 10 times as much in the US, Mike.
Oh, easy.
Easily with the amenities you provide, the atmosphere, the ambiance, 10 times as much, folks. This is a great deal. And now's the time to get offshore. Folks, if you don't have your plan B right now, you better move it up to plan A and get moving.
Right.
We're not going to get into that, but I'm just telling you, it's pretty important. So let me ask
Carter, but hang on, let me just follow on to that point.
Right.
I think it's a really important point. Probably over half, I should probably know the number, but over half of our business in the last 18, coming up on 24 months has been what I'm going to call political and societal business. These are people who are looking for a plan B for political reasons or social reasons, medical reasons, right? I mean, the forced vaccinations, things like that. I mean, people are absolutely saying, you know what, I need a plan B. I don't like the direction things are going. And probably half of our business has come from that. A big chunk of our business has actually come out of the crypto community, because the crypto community, they are, folks that focus on monetary freedom, right?
Yeah.
Crypto is monetary freedom.
Totally.
And so there's a big overlay between people who are looking for political freedom, social freedom, right, and monetary freedom. That Venn diagram would have a big piece in the middle where all three of those overlap. And it's interesting to see it, Carter.
That's well said. As a matter of fact, folks, I'm going to tell you right now, if you don't soon get out of the U.S. the way things are going, like Mike just said, you're not going to end up being an expat. You're going to end up being a refugee if you don't soon get out. It's really going that quickly in that direction. But you talked about, okay, let's say 125,000, which is an incredible price. And one of the questions I get from people is there financing available for if I buy a home offshore, regardless whether it's a quaint community, a cozy community, a Mike Cobb community? What about financing? And you're one of the people who pioneered financing.
Right.
So let's go back and do that.
Sure. I mean, quite honestly, there's not a lot of financing for foreign buyers, right? If you're Belizean and you want to buy a home, you can go get a mortgage from many banks and buy a home in Belize. But if you're U.S. or Canadian, or you're an Aussie or a Brit or something coming in, and you want to buy a property in Belize and you want financing, I think there are two banks that'll lend you the money right now. And so, and same thing in, Nicaragua and Panama and Costa Rica and El Salvador. The banking system is geared towards loaning locals money. It's not geared towards lending money to foreigners. So we, as a development company, we do a lot of our own internal financing, but we partner with a bank in Belize that provides financing to folks looking to own properties. So yeah, I mean, it's a great question, because you know what, I mean, some folks can write a check for $125,000, especially if they've sold a home in the U.S. If you sell a home in the U.S., come down and write a check for 125, 150, whatever it is, own a home, right? You own it outright. But if it's a vacation property or even an investment property, you may want to borrow some money. You may need to borrow some money. So yeah, that's an important piece of the puzzle.
So when you say that there may be loan type business deals available from ECI, like could somebody get a 80-20 where they put 20% down and finance 80% through ECI for let's say a Belize property or a Mike Cobb community home?
Yeah, absolutely. In many cases, we can go up to 80% financing. Yes.
Which is excellent.
Yep.
Folks, that's a tremendous deal. That's huge.
Yeah.
With financing rates comparable to the U.S. at this point?
No, not really. Rates in the U.S. are, artificially low. The Fed wants them low, keeps them low. I can't really talk about interest rates on a program like this, but if somebody's looking at financing, they can certainly reach out and our folks in Belize can provide that information to them. Yeah.
Good. Now, so if somebody's interested in Grand Pacific, and folks, I urge you, check out grandpacifica.com. It's GRAN without the D. Check out Grand Bayman. That's with the D, and it's MEN. And then if you like what you see, make a call about it. Mike and I are not here to sell you. We're not going to go, we're not going to say, call now, 1-800, buy now. No, we don't do that. I used to do that back in my sports handicapping days. But I don't do that.
You sounded pretty good at that, Carter. I figured you probably had some history with that.
Oh, yeah. So, mucho picks and guaranteed winners. This is an iron lock. Well, actually, what I'm talking about now, these properties that we're talking about now really are iron locks, as we used to say. in the sports industry. And so check them out, folks. Just check them out for your own, make your own decisions. That's a smart thing to do. So there, you can buy the home offshore, you can invest in it. But we're closing in on time here. But if somebody invests, what's the return on investment atmosphere at this point?
Well, again, it's not something we can really talk about, on a program like this. But at the end of the day, here's the reality. And I'm going to use Belize very specifically as the example. A country like Belize has gone from almost nobody has heard of it, 10 years ago to today. I mean, a lot of people have heard of them. They give away free weeks to Belize on Wheel of Fortune, right? So, so it's now become, noticed and popular. The thing that's happened is that the number of branded hotel properties have not kept up, right? And so, look, when it was a very niche destination, people who love to fish and people who love to dive. That was it. That was the only people that went to Amber's Cape, 10, 15, 20 years ago, right? Well, today, now it's sort of it's the families and it's just the mainstream travelers. Well, you know what? Many mainstream travelers want a branded product because they want to know what they're going to get. They want to stay at the, at the Marriott or the Best Western because you know what? I know what I'm going to get. If I go to a Best Western, I'm getting a 3.5 star product. It's going to be clean. I'm going to have internet. It's going to be nice, blah, blah, blah. Right. Or they say at the Marriott, it's a 4.5 star property, right? Again, they know what they're going to get, as opposed to the Mike Cobb Hotel, which I don't know. It's got some decent reviews online, but I don't know what I'm going to get if I go stay at the Mike Cobb Hotel, right? Or whatever, the Sea Turtle Inn or whatever it is, right? So the thing about Belize right now for folks that are looking for investment opportunities specifically is you have this hole in the marketplace. You have this arbitrage between this growing popularity, growing mainstream traveler, and a lack of product that's what they're looking for. And so, this really is a great time to be looking at the country as an investment opportunity. And it's again, it's not call right now 1-800. It's this year, 2022, 23, 24, but over the next, say 2-3 years, this window of opportunity is going to close, right? It's a window of opportunity and it's wide open today. And over 2-3 years, it'll just simply get closed up. So, and we have some great resources. We have a whole resource guide called the, branded residences. And we have a Belize handbook. That's a tremendous resource. And then we have, the consumer resource guide. I mentioned, the ideas about, hot water and power and, all that kind of stuff. Well, again, this is a consumer resource guide. This is not a sales document. The Belize handbook, same thing.
Hold that up once more, Mike. Right. There we go. Now, can people get, where can folks get that?
Yeah. So just Carter, I don't know, you put a link or something under, give me a hard time here. Just put a link or something, but ECIdevelopment.com, info at ECIdevelopment.com. And in fact, in the subject line, make it really easy. Just say Carter and then say -consumer guide or -Belize handbook. Just so we, to make it real simple, we'll email you the link and you can download the document.
And how much is it?
It's free. Free. Look, Carter. No, look, Carter. I know, right? But for me, an educated consumer is the absolute best consumer. If at the end of the day somebody says, "I don't care about hot water," that's fine. But at least they know to check, right? At least they know. At least they know to check. Oh, a 30 amp service is plenty for me because I'm never going to run a microwave or any kind of giant big screen TVs or anything that take a lot of power, right? And so. But at least they know what they're getting. So an educated consumer is the absolute best consumer because to be honest, most people are going to say, I probably want hot water and I probably want more power, and so when people start to make those evaluations and think about, well, I do want these kinds of things. I do want high speed internet, right? Yeah. Well, then all of a sudden, my product is very competitive in price and we serve the customer with what they really want. At the end of the day, I am all about happy clients owning properties and homes in Latin America. Every happy homeowner in Latin America, whether they buy from us or buy from somebody else, makes my life better, makes their life better. And then, makes my life better. So we just want happy property owners, which is why we give these resources away for free. Yeah.
Which is fantastic, the guidebooks. Mike mentioned the Belize guidebook. They also have Nicaragua, Costa Rica,
Panama, El Salvador.
Yep. So it's a tremendous deal, and all that at ECIdevelopment.com, and free, and the home for only $125,000.
Right.
That's a pretty good deal all the way around. And they are 3 kinds of communities, folks. So you have your total pick, top of the line, Mike Cobb community, next down a cozy community or a quaint community where you're living, right there, like at my home in El Cologne. So it's whatever you decide to do it, and do it soon.
Do it. But do it with your eyes wide open, and make sure you have the right resources to make the kinds of decisions that are important for you. Yeah.
Very good. Exactly. And there are people at ECI who will answer questions as well, right?
Of course. Yeah.
Of course. All right. Thank you.
All right.
This has been great.
Always a pleasure, my friend. Great to see you.
Pleasure. And folks, thank you for joining us. And we're going to do this every week. Mike Cobb's Offshore Investment Report. So, Mike, thank you, sir.
Thanks, Carter. See ya.
For more information on the Offshore Club or to contact Mike Cobb, visit offshore.club today. Offshore.club. See you next time at the Offshore Club.